The Take 10 a method of growing the Take 10, but also growing it around issues and not necessarily an election at this point. And basically, it should always be growing around issues anyway. Now, to be, in reality, it should be always growing around issues, but definitely, to focus on having people feel their government, to feel that the government is working for them, feel that they have a voice in their government.
As you know, I model my trainings exactly how you all trained us. And it's been very helpful in fostering that conversation amongst unlikely participants in the civic engagement process, but also bringing those groups that normally don't sit at the table and talk about these processes, like having a county commissioner on the call with a clergy member, with community members, and figuring out, not talking about issues necessarily, but talking about how we react and respond and work together to address or build the community for those things. And I think it's been very helpful as we went into this election and planning our Get Out the Vote efforts, because the county commissioners, the Board of Elections director, community members, church folks, we was at the table planning. So now that we're out there, it's more of collaborative and more connectivity in the work that we do.
And looking at your life in 20 plus years is very powerful. It gives you a whole nother perspective, like now matters. I've always done advocacy, but to be on the front line and being a part of the process of the voting process, the election process, has been something that I thought I had done some really powerful work, but this here really is getting to the souls of the people who now have a voice because of Spirit in Action. We've been able to share our training with veterans, seniors, folks that are disabled, to give them that power back, because the community belongs to all of us. We're in a village mode of helping one another. And I just can't thank you enough, Linda, for letting the Cornerstone be a part of this most important times that we're living in. But through your guidance and leadership, I just feel so much more engaged and more, I think, more intellectually when it comes to the process in voting.
Well, Take 10 is a methodology that got us rethinking about how we get the message out. What's the platform? Okay, you need a platform, and you can't get upset because other people won't give you a platform. And it made me remind me of what Frederick Douglass said, power conceives nothing without a demand. So why do you have to be upset because somebody else won't give you a platform? You can create your own platform. And you do that by including other people, by empowering people. And I think that's the whole message behind Take 10, is how do we empower people to do the work that needs to be done to get the message out. And also, I learned some new techniques, asking people, including people by asking them questions. How do you feel? I'm kind of a front runner, and so sometimes I can be very dominant in a conversation, and that can be almost excluding people. I just start meetings off with, hey, tell me something, what made you come out tonight? How do you feel? Those were techniques that I did not utilize before, which were very simplistic. So those are things that I've learned and that I try to incorporate into when we do things, is allowing the people that are there to have that input, that buy-in, feel like, hey, you're a part of it. You're not just here to listen to me. You're here because we are in this together. We is the biggest word in the civil rights movement, not I. And so that was major, and that was really a major piece. Sounds simple, but that was major. That's one of the things that I truly learned. And then I still use the sheet that we got in the beginning on the what, the hows, the why, and putting your plan together. And again, for me personally, a lot of times if you for a very long time become the focal point of everything, you get to pattern things behind you. So you forget to do things so other people can follow them. Taking time to write, because you might walk around with all this in your head because you're the only one. But when you're bringing in other people, they have to see where you're going. They have to see the vision, and especially when you're dealing with leaders. Followers are followers, but leaders tend to follow a vision. And you have to make that vision plain. And many times the only way to make that vision plain and stick is to put it on paper so they can see where you're going. So it sticks even after the conversation. So those are some of the things that inspired me through the trainings, and it brought back a realization of how I was doing business. I had to change how I'm doing business. And not a bad thing, just a realization for me in a leadership position, and is to empower other people and how to empower them. To remind me of something that I already knew, but it reminded me you have to do this.
It's amazing how you don't think of certain things that Spirit in Action helped us, well, helped me, I don't want to say us, but helped me to see, it is like it says, Spirit in Action. It is how to communicate more with people, and what you should say, and how you should say it, and when you should say it. And that's why at the beginning I was saying that, because I'm learning all of that, those tools, and other tools is how to bring in different point of views and not be so rigid, in your thinking process, because not everything is blue.
Right.
The colors is the rainbow, and sometimes it goes beyond the rainbow. So the rainbow has just a few colors, but there are a whole lot more colors outside the box. You had me to think outside my box.
Just working with you and working with the organization has been awesome, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of all that you've done. Thank you.
I think for Spirit in Action and this Take 10, I think we should continue to meet, and I think that with this cohort, we should look at ways to expand to start the next cohort and co-facilitate with you all, because this movement is not something that we can just do alone. And I think through this work, we have built a nice volunteer base, but it's now to train them to be able to be the trainer of future Take 10 trainings and things like that, to really build this, what I call community of practice.
But for me, I appreciate because I know that words has power. And I look at all universities. I look at as the universe of thought patterns. That whether you're in a church, or you belong to a Congress, or you in a school or university or whatnot, the most powerful thing that I understand in my life, and you guys kind of help me round it off, is it's the house of words. I call it the house of words, because you don't learn how to be something unless those words come into you and fill your mind.
I'm just very grateful to have this opportunity to meet you all, to have you all train me and continue to be a support system moving forward. I think it came at the right opportune time. Wish I had it earlier, but I'm glad that it happened, because it was very critical for my organization to be able to engage young people along with adults, and this was the perfect model to do that. We tried other models about adult youth partnership, but it just wasn't getting that right feel that right measure of that honest, that authentic partnership of respecting each other's voices and value. And this right here created that. And it moves forward. The conversations are different. It's no more looking at young people as, okay, you really don't know about the topic, but recognizing people for their experiences and what they bring to the table.
And our work would not stop at this election. We will be looking at how we instruct our legislators, the people that we put into office, and how we make sure that they are actually fighting for our values and for our issues. And if they're not, then we will also plan to make sure that if it's a primary that needs to move them or another general election that needs to move them, that they will be moved. But we just need to stay fired up and ready to go.
Many people are going to the polls to vote against. More so than what are we voting for? And I think we need to do a really good job about advocating for what's on the ballot. Because no matter who is in office, Medicaid expansion is on the ballot for North Carolina. Education, Leandro, is on the ballot for North Carolina. And, criminal justice reform, all of these people that are locked up and incarcerated for fines. If you don't vote, this is what's going to happen. If you don't vote, they're going to take away SNAP. They're going to take away subsidized housing. And so people go to the polls afraid. But if you think about it, that's a one-step item issue. So if I'm advocating for subsidized housing, you're advocating against subsidized housing, I win. Oh, well, we're going to get subsidized housing, not realizing I'm only one vote. And I think after the election, that needs to be where we are pushing and how we continue to keep people mobilized and keep people inspired, which is continue to hold the Zoom and continue to educate people about what's really on the ballot.
It's been a really positive experience in learning the power we do bring to the table and bring into the rooms when everybody has been given the opportunity to be represented. In regards to one of the things that we have a right is to vote and to be heard through our votes.
I think for Spirit in Action and this Take 10, I think we should continue to meet. And I think that with this cohort, we should look at ways to expand to start the next cohort and co-facilitate with you all. Because this movement is not something that we can just do alone. And I think through this work, we have built a nice volunteer base, but it's now to train them to be able to be the trainer of future Take 10 trainings and things like that to really build this, what I call community of practice.